Defined as a long passage in a building leading into rooms, the hallway may seem like a soulless, banal in-between space, separating rooms in a house or building to create a sense of privacy. Often poorly lit with no particular characteristics, they seem to offer nothing but a series of doors and dead ends. In the world of cinema and games, however, they are an essential element and device for storytelling, indicating directionality towards a destination or goal, a place for encounters, confusion, and fear. They are rarely the location where terror or violence take place, but they are what lead us to these areas, all while ramping up tension and putting us on edge. Though only made commonplace in buildings in the 17th century, hallways are evident since the ancient world, according to Roger Luckhurst, author of the book Corridors, Passages of Modernity. In ancient architecture, temple complexes feature imposing hallway structures with passages that anticipate an approaching godly encounter, where their designs are diffused with mythic resonances of the labyrinth, conjuring up images of lost souls and wandering monsters. Hallways are perfect in films that wish to elicit fear and anxiousness from the audience. Characters in these films seem to always be vulnerable in this space, their backs often exposed to the ambiguous, their line of sight and field of vision narrowed to the width of the space determined by the flanking walls, with each corner and shadow hiding a potential threat. In horror movies, hallways further emphasize the feeling of entrapment, especially with their length. With fewer places to run away, there's either forwards or backwards, because every door the character passes seems to be inevitably locked despite the hopes of the viewer. In the world of video games, the game Control, for example, makes its hallways a world of unknown possibilities. Players are occasionally teleported to a place of power, known as the Ocean View Motel. It connects various dimensions and unknown locations. Through a series of puzzles, the character traverses the empty hallways to find a solution to open the correct door to reach places in the character's mind, all the while fearing what they might encounter if they open the wrong door or make the wrong turn. In addition to isolating and disorienting a player, hallways may also inflict some form of assault. In the game Metal Gear Solid, the main character Snake makes his way through a painfully long corridor rigged with microwaves. The shallow depth of field and long focal length of the camera in this part of the game increase the perceived depth of the space, making the journey to the other side of the room seem like an unreachable goal. Furthermore, the slower camera movement accentuates the immense pain the character endures through his sheer force of will against the tortuous hallway. The game PT plays with our fundamental belief that structurally and metaphorically, hallways always have an end. But in the search for this end, it is to the player's horrific realization that the nightmares they are experiencing is a never-ending loop of corridors and 90-degree turns. Similarly, in games like Resident Evil, Luckhurst also points out that there is an escalation in the degree of dread in anticipation that comes with every door that the player passes. If the hallways are simply a means of transit, each door and threshold that the player walks past becomes an opportunity for another terrifying encounter. Film directors and game developers have long recognized the ingrained fear of these spaces, exploiting their parallel lines, forced focal points, and physical containment of characters to create an endless stream of scenarios and obstacles in their films and video games. Hallways are long, narrow, claustrophobic, and made primarily for transit. And yet sometimes, our most sensitive encounters play out in this zone of anticipatory fear, with our doors and only means of escape closed behind us.